Letter 26 of Letters from England, 1846 to 1849, by Elizabeth Davis Bancroft. Read for LibriVox.org into the public domain. Letter to W. D. B., London, December 30th, 1847. Dear W., your father left me on the 18th to go to Paris. This is the best of all seasons for him to be there, for the ministers are all out of town at Christmas, and in Paris everything is at its height. My friends are very kind to me, those who remain in town. One day I dined at Sir Francis Simpkinson's and found a pleasant party. Lady Simpkinson is a sister of Lady Franklin, whom I was very glad to meet, as she has been in America and knows many Americans, Mrs. Kirkland for one. Then I have passed one evening for the first time at Mr. Tagent's, the Unitarian clergyman, where I met many of the literary people who are out of the great world, and yet very desirable to see. There, too, I met the Misses Cushman, Charlotte and Susan, who attend his church. I was very much pleased with both of them. I have never seen them play, but they will send me a list of their parts at their next engagement, and I shall certainly go to hear them. They are of old colony descent, from Elder Cushman, and have very much of the New England character, culture, and good sense. On Monday I dined at Sir Edward Codrington's, the hero of Navarino, with the Marquise and Marchioness of Queensberry, and a party of admirals and navy officers. On Tuesday I dined at Lady Bray's, where were Mr. Rogers, Dr. Holland, Sir Augustus and Lady Albinia Foster, formerly British Minister to the United States. He could describe our court, as he called it, in the time of Madison and Monroe. January 1st, 1848. This evening, in addition to my usual morning letter from your father, I have another, a new postal arrangement beginning today with the new year. He gives me a most interesting conversation he has just been having with Baron von Humboldt, who is now in Paris. He says he poured out a delicious stream of remarks, anecdotes, narratives, opinion. He feels our great interest in our Mexican affairs, as he has been much there, and is a Mexican by adoption. His letter, dated the 31st December, says, Madame Adelaide died at 3 this morning. This death astonished me, for he saw her only a few evenings since at the palace. She was a woman of strong intellect and character, and her brother, the king, was very much attached to her as a counselor and friend. There were more than 100 Americans to be presented on New Year's Day at Paris, and as Madame Adelaide's death took place without a day's warning, you can imagine the embroidered coats and finery which were laid on the shelf. Saturday, January 7th. Yesterday, my dear son, I had a delightful dinner at the dear Miss Berry's. They drove to the door on Thursday and left a little note to say, "Can you forgive a poor sick soul for not coming to you before, when you were all alone?" and begging me to come the next day at 7 to dine. There was Lady Charlotte and later Stuart de Rothsey, who was many years ambassadress at Paris, and very agreeable. Then there was Dr. Holland and Mr. Stanley, the Under Secretary of State, etc. In the evening came quite an additional party, and I passed it most pleasantly. Your father writes that on Friday he dined at Thiers with Mignet, Cousin, Pontoise, and Lord Normanby. He says such a dinner is unique in a man's life. Mignet is delightful, frank, open, gay, full of intelligence, and of that grace which makes society charming. Your father today gives me some account of Thiers. He is now 50, he rises at 5 o'clock every morning, toils till 12, breakfasts, makes researches, and then goes to the chambers. In the evening he always receives his friends, except Wednesdays and Thursdays, when he attends his wife to the opera and to the Académie. End of Letter 26. Read by Sabella Denton. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, please visit LibriVox.org.